Coach PJ here. There's nothing more frustrating than being deep into the sales process and getting hit with an objection. Many salespeople think they have to know the answer to every objection. They have to anticipate every single objection. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's actually a technique that you can use that'll give you the confidence to handle any objection and the tools as to how to handle it and how to overcome it. So, should you understand your industry? Should you understand what pops up in your industry? Absolutely. However, when you understand the process to handle an objection, you will gain confidence to handle any objection and to excel the sales process. So let's get started. The first thing you need to do when an objection comes up is affirm their feelings. It is a true objection. It is a true feeling they are having on the prospect's part. And they're going to express them. They're going to say things like, I'm not sure if this is the right time. I'd like to check references. Let me think about it. I can't afford it for cash flow. I'm concerned about the price. I'm not certain the right person's here to make that decision. I want to check with somebody. I want to get other proposals. All those things. I may be working with somebody else. All those things crop up. So I'm going to talk to you about affirming their objection. So they've expressed an objection to you. I'm not certain this is the right time. Affirm it, lean into it. Don't let it throw you off your game. Don't let it derail you. Don't immediately go to changing the price. They're actually expressing an objection that you need to understand, is it real or not? And if it is real, then you can work with it and work with it from the standpoint of overcoming the objection. So let's start there. So you've affirmed their objection. And you can affirm it by saying things like, I understand that you think this might not be the right time. Or, so you think it's not the right time. And that's an active listening technique. Mirror back their objection. So you think this isn't the right time. So you are working with someone else. And dig into it, lean into it. So the second thing is dig into the objections so that you understand what they're actually saying. Not what's at the surface level, because the surface level, they're trying to throw up a smoke screen. They're trying to throw something in the conversation. Don't just take it at face value. Dig into it deep, lean into it, ask some questions, clarifying questions, lean into the objection. Remember, you're not an adversary in the sales process. You're working with them to help remove the barriers so they can buy from you. So in that case, you want to learn. So what about the price is a problem? So what, you said you're working with someone else. Let them describe it. You can't afford it. Then once they describe it, once you understand the objection, the third element is ask the question, if we can overcome that objection, would you be interested in moving forward? You want to understand, one, if it's the only objection they have, because sometimes they nest or they stack objections. That's one of the things. You want to make sure there's only one objection, or that you understand all the objections that are on the table by doing a trial close. So if we can overcome the price, your cash flow, if we can address your cash flow, would you be interested in moving forward? You want to understand whether or not they are going to commit to moving forward, because that's really what you're trying to do, is you're trying to get them to say, yes, I want to move forward. Here is the reasons that I'm struggling. And once you understand the reasons that they're struggling, or the things that are on their mind and what they're working through, then you can physically sit with them and problem solve those and figure out how to overcome those so that you can work together, because they want to work with you. And that's what you want to get out of them. You want to get out of them, yes, I want to work with you. Yes, I want to move forward. I have to tackle these objections, these things that are impediments to working with you. If you can work with them on that, the partnership is even stronger. It shows your commitment to them. It shows that you want to have them as a client. It shows that you are willing to have a difficult conversation. It actually is really a positive mood in the right direction. But getting them to that point can be uncomfortable sometimes, because you do have to ask some detailed questions, and you do have to dig in a little bit and and listen to what they're not saying so that you can ask some detailed questions about what you're hearing. So first, affirm their feeling, affirm their objection. You don't have to say, I agree. You can say, I understand. I hear you saying, I heard this. That's, so you think that. Those are great ways to affirm. Second, lean into it. Ask questions, learn about the objection, get the details. Third, do a trial. Find out if that's the only objection. So if we can overcome that objection, then you'd like to move forward. And get them to say that, because then working together gets started. And only after you have all the objections on the table should you get started in problem solving. Now, there are two common objections that do come up, and I get asked these questions often. The first one is the price objection. Price is too high. I actually have a video that I published recently about what to say when your customer says the price is too high. So take a look at that video. There's a lot more detail in there. The bottom line on price is too high, when it comes with all the other objections, is we jump to that to fix price or to change price and seeing if that will change the problem. And typically it's not the problem when they have other objections. And too often salespeople go immediately to price to try and break down that barrier, and then they end up cutting margin when they didn't have to. So the price one, I'll take off the table. You can still handle it the same way. The second one, which I get asked a lot about, is about the decision maker. I'd like to run this by somebody. I need to talk to my partner, spouse, etc., my accountant. They need to talk to someone else about it. And that means that up front, you haven't done the work to get the decision makers in the room. And let me discuss why that happens from time to time. As salespeople, we're so excited to set the meeting. We're so excited to get agreement to a meeting that oftentimes we accelerate the setting of the meeting process, and we don't have a sales process that supports checking if the decision makers are going to be present. Sometimes we're setting the meeting through email. Sometimes it's a short phone call that's abbreviated and we don't get that question answered. But it is a critical question, because if you do not have the decision makers in the room, a couple things happen. One is, when you are describing and you're explaining, you're talking about the value proposition, and the person in the room is experiencing the sales process, the other person doesn't get that benefit. Doesn't get the benefit of the conversation, doesn't get the benefit of your process you take people through to understand the value that they see in the product or service that you're selling. So that disconnect doesn't happen, and the person sitting in front of you isn't capable of translating that to the other person in the same context that you created in the sales process. So making sure and asking questions simply like, can you describe the decision-making process? Is there anyone else who needs to be here to help make this decision, or to be part of this decision, or to be part of the conversation? And those questions being asked up front are going to stop the person in front of you from delaying the decision to say, let me run it by my accountant, my partner, etc., by knowing who the decision maker is. And then I do encourage people, put that in your sales process, put it as a check before you walk in the door, even put it as a check as you're getting to the meeting, the 24 hours before the meeting when you're confirming it. Ask again, you mentioned that your accountant needs to be there. I assume that's going to happen, or I assume they're going to be there, or double check, because calendars change, things change, and it can happen that dynamic switches and you say, oh, I'm sorry, your spouse can't be there, then let's reschedule for another time. And I know that's sometimes hard for salespeople, because we want the meeting, we want to know that it's going to happen, and we don't want to delay the sale. But delaying the sale means you're actually going to sit in front of the decision makers, and you're going to sit in front of the folks who can make the decision and have the conversation and be a part of the process, which is so, so critical. So don't hesitate in that element. Honor their decision-making process, but be firm. Is your partner going to be here tomorrow? I just want to confirm that you and your partner will be here tomorrow. Do that confirmation at the front, at the back end. It'll make all the difference in the world. And remember, not all deals are closable, and importantly, not all deals should be closed. So keep that in mind when you take a look at what's on the horizon in your sales pipeline. If you like this video, take a look at the videos before, click the bell, subscribe, and till next time.